Dana White has had enough of the Jake talk, and he's finally expressed how he really feels about the YouTuber turned boxer. The problem child took several shots at Dana after a video of him gifting Kyle from the Nelk Boys surfaced on the internet. The boss gave Kyle $250,000, which has since then become a super controversial topic. Keep watching this video as we tell you everything about the heated exchange, but it kinda is a scumbag move. We're pretty sure you already know what happened since it's a hot topic in the MMA world, but here's a quick recap. Dana White gifted $250,000 to Kyle from the Nelk Boys for his birthday. Now there's no doubt White and the Nelk Boys go a long way back, but seriously? Anyway, Dana has since then gotten a lot of heat for how he picks clear favorites between fighters and friends, because come on, $250,000? And in case some of you are wondering why we're freaking out over his money, please don't forget that the minimum wage for a fight at the UFC is $12,000. Yup, $12,000 for entering a cage with a monster for 25 minutes. 5 rounds only to make $12,000. Meanwhile, some Nelk Boys get $250,000 for being friends with Mr. Rich Dana White. So when Jake says it's a very scumbag move by the president of the UFC, he's kinda right. And Jake didn't stop there. He talked about how he doesn't even care about paying his fighters, but doesn't see anything wrong when he gifts so much money to his friends. And let's not forget that Dana doesn't even give his fighters health care. And since Jake Paul is pretty much all about wages and health care, he definitely has the people's support. Still, if we're looking at Dana and the Nelk Boys alone, then it really isn't our concern what he chooses to do with his money. But where's he making money from? Who's generating the revenue? Obviously, the fighters. So at the end of the day, it's our concern. Anyone who's associated with MMA can freely call him out for how he never seems to give a clear answer on fighter wages. All he does is either try to dodge the question or make up a silly excuse claiming the UFC is working on it. Let's not forget, it takes a good fighter anywhere from 3 to 4 bonuses to make $250,000. And what about a new fighter? At least 20 fights to make $250,000. So how did Dana respond? And like we told you, instead of actually talking about the real problem, he completely dodged the question and tried to talk down Jake. Is this still a thing? It's not to me. He's a pay-per-view turd. And that's it. That's all Dana White said about the whole situation. And frankly speaking, that's not enough. He doesn't only have to answer Jake. He has to tell fighters, fans, and everyone else associated with the MMA world why he doesn't give fighters enough money or healthcare. Well done, Dana. Another successful dodge. Anyway, we think he's being clever with it. He later tried to shift the focus to how he was once considering Jake for the UFC, but this is probably the last time he'll think about it ever since he called him greedy. Now, did Jake cross a line? We don't think he necessarily crossed a line or something, but he did say a lot of things that may have upset the boss, like how he's a greedy scumbag, and how he needs to look at himself in the mirror and reevaluate himself as a person. Oh, and he also said that after the whole $250,000 gift, almost everyone knows he's greedy when it comes to the UFC and picks clear favorites. We think Jake could have been a bit more professional in his call out, because this was a golden opportunity to actually do something for fighter wages and healthcare. And you have to understand that Dana is after all human, and maybe talking to him that way may actually get a reasonable response out of him. Calling him names and accusing him of taking cocaine isn't exactly going to do anything about the main issue here. Now let's talk about things that matter. Jake recently took his shot at the boss by offering him to fight troublesome Nate Diaz for free. The only condition being, if he wins the fight, Dana will have to do something about the fighter wage issue. And honestly speaking, that's the right way to do it. Keep it clean and make it interesting. Don't release a diss track on YouTube accusing the boss of taking cocaine, like he's the president of the UFC, not the meddling cartel. Before, when he offered to fight Jorge Masvidal on the same conditions, the boss actually considered it for a second. And remember how he said that he'll never say never to the idea of Jake fighting in the UFC? Even Jake needs to understand that if he's serious about the whole wage thing, he's better off making an impact inside the promotion than outside of it. So maybe keeping things decent might actually sit well with Dana, instead of accusing him of things he probably doesn't do. Anyway, this still doesn't mean the issue doesn't exist. And it also raises the question why Jake needs to do so much to get Dana's attention. Why can't Dana take matters into his own hands? It's not just Jake creating the trouble, it's his fighters too. But anyway, that's a different discussion. Time for some more on the UFC. Up next, no means no. Nate Diaz has the whole UFC running in circles after he continues to call them out regularly for being unable to find him an opponent. Believe it or not, he actually accused Dana of holding him hostage because of such a tight contract. Anyway, Dana soon responded, claiming he's going to get paid whether he fights or not, so we're not sure why Nate is so worried. But anyway, while the Stockton Slugger isn't sure about who he wants to fight, he is sure about who he doesn't want to fight. The boss has been planning a trilogy fight between Nate and Connor for the Irishman's comeback, and this is probably the third time in a month that we've heard Nate shutting down that fight. Talking to MMA Hour, Nate said things like how the UFC is asking him to fight McGregor next year, but he doesn't want that fight. It's totally understandable why he doesn't want to fight the Irishman. Wanna know why? Because it's boring. These guys have had bad blood. Keyword, had. It's over. There's no more business left in that fight, and you have to understand how Nate must feel too. He probably wants to go out with a bang. So even the boss has bought into the hype. We don't know why people are so hyped up for Izzy versus Pereira. Like, come on, Pereira is just 3 fights in the UFC. That's it. He's only fought 3 fights, and he's already getting a championship bout? And what sucks is Dana has come into the hype too. Talking to the media, Dana talked about how the Izzy versus Cannonier fight wasn't as exciting as everyone thought, but he said it takes 2 fighters to make a good fight, and Cannonier certainly wasn't aggressive. But the next fight will be different. So it's already in the works? Why didn't Dana give Khamzat a shot at the title? He beat the 2nd-ranked welterweight in the division, but he gives this new guy who's only fought thrice a shot at the title? And meanwhile, Kamaru is defending his title against a guy he already beat. What's even going on? We have nothing against Pereira, but we just think it's too soon. And if someone argues it isn't, why hasn't Khamzat gotten a shot at the title? Finally, is DC coming back? Former UFC 2-weight champion Daniel Cormier entertained the idea of making a comeback to the UFC, provided Dana gave him a shot at the light heavyweight title. We're not sure how serious he was, but going up against Yuri isn't going to be easy, especially when you consider how DC hasn't fought for over 2 years. But anyway, we're pretty sure he was joking, because stepping into the ring against a 29-year-old light heavyweight champion wouldn't be the wisest of things to do for a 43-year-old. And what's funny is that he revealed all this during a Q&A session on Twitter. That just makes us even more sure that DC is just messing around. This isn't the first time retired fighters have messed with us about making a comeback. Khabib also teases us every now and then, but with the Islam versus Charles fight in play for UFC 280, who knows? Maybe Khabib will have to come out of retirement to avenge his little brother. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Has Dana crossed the line with his $250,000 gift? Or is Jake being a bit too disrespectful to the boss? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.